Fellas, Antonio Conte. Deanna, I'll let you start first. Talk to us.
I mean, I don't care. It's been known he's gone for months. He ran his course before the World Cup. It is what it is. I mean, he came in. I don't think anyone thought it'd be long term. That's why he signed the type contracts he signed. Um, it was kind of like just fix the issues we have. I do think he did that. I do think he's like added talent to the roster. Um, I like Kulisevsky a ton. He's going to be on the team long term. I like Romero and Benker a ton. They'll both be on the team next year too. So I think he's added an influx of talent. We're younger. Destiny Udogi comes over next year, so he did a lot of positives. It is what it is. This just everyone knew this is the ending it was going to be with Antonio Conte. I don't think anyone within Tottenham surprised by what's happening. Paratici, I don't know if I'm saying that right, never really wanted the guy in the first place. So like it just is what it is. Everything he said is true in my opinion too. Like at a certain point, the main thing that keeps staying the same is the core of this team, and it's like might need to change that a little bit.
Your turn, Charles.
I mean, I think one bars because he was fucking telling the truth about all this stuff. We talked. He just ran off all the things he's won. I mean, we could name off all the things Jose won, and he couldn't get a response out of them. All of the way that Nuno, the best that we've seen Wolves in the time that I've been watching soccer is under Nuno, and Nuno got over there and couldn't do nothing with him. It doesn't seem like if like I said, we can sit here and talk about what we think of Conte, what we think of Jose. They're both top 10 managers in the world, or in that zone. They both have won things that other managers dream of. So like when those guys go back to back, within a year and a half, 2 years now of not be like they can't get a response out of that. I think that's definitely a sign of an organizational failure of some sort, some sort of like undertone there that's a problem. I think when and as I'm thinking about this, even as Dion was talking, like some of the texts that we send about how we joke about how Emerson's just kind of out there doing his own thing and like trying to show that he can do three-step overs and whatever. Or we always talk about that. There are guys like Eric Dyer who are probably fighting for their spot. Like those dudes are worried about their careers at this point. And I don't think, as much as, as great as he is, as much as like I've come around on how good of a player he is, I don't think Harry Kane seems to care too much about winning. And I think that's kind of the like part of the problem. Like he's good with scoring his goals. And I just don't, and I also don't think on top of, part of coupling with that is you had like when your best player and your guy, one last year sat out the beginning of the year because he was trying to leave. And then like it's the whole general undertone is like, is Harry leaving? I'm sure that doesn't help when like that has been permeating through the club for the last 3 to 4 years. And it's not like he's like squashing rumors one or demanding that like or saying like, hey, I want to win. And he's just like there. And I think that like that causes like he seems to be out for self. Like I said, he's here for goals and to get transfers and to get a transfer. Like he doesn't seem like he's very invested in like the actual like cohesion of the team. Sonny has been playing bad, so now he's gone for self. Like I can't even like that's my favorite player on the team, but he had to go for self because hell, I don't think Conte puts him in great position. So like I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I don't think Conte is really, he's brought in talent, but I don't think he's done, the best to get the I don't think he's at times done enough to get the most out of his players. But at the same time, like, I've played enough enough sports in my life, you guys as well. Like coach can draw this shit up all they want at a certain point, like if you're up 3-1, that's not Conte's fault. Like
Yeah.
nothing that I'm saying, like that's not Conte's fault that you're losing a lead. Like you've played those 11 that was out there have played soccer long enough. They're I'm saying they're getting paid enough money to where you know what you need to do to hold the lead for 12 minutes, especially against a team that you're better than. Like there's no reason for that to happen. So like those lapses in concentration and things of that nature, like that is a problem that I have seen. Like I said, we've seen them give up late. Like the running joke that we have about them, going down a goal 13 minutes into the game. That's a running joke. But that's been across managers. That's a Tottenham trend across managers. That's not a Jose thing. That's not a Conte thing, a Nuno thing, or a Poch thing. That's been happening the entire time I've been a fan. And them giving, what I'm saying? And so these things, like I said, it's like, the one thing I do love, that I love about soccer culture is like how clubs kind of have their identity. Like PSG is going to bottle. That's what they do. And they're starting to get this trend of like you want like I'm like as much as like Dion's excited for Lucho to come there, like I'm kind of like hesitant just because like I don't want him to like if I would be excited for Lucho coming to Tottenham if they're gonna let him be Lucho. But if they're just gonna give him the same shit that they're giving these other good managers and they're just ruining like they're in so many words they're like a man eater. They're a manager eater. And so like if you're just gonna like go and not give Lucho the things that he needs to be successful, which I don't think they're giving, a lot of these managers the things that they need. Like you don't think fucking Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho know how to win in the Premier League? You give them what they need. Like you don't think they can manage? And so it's just and still making Champions Leagues, still knocking these things out. But I think that like they seem to be the one team in the Big Six that like are just good. Like their goal is to make top four. Everybody else seems like they're at least gonna like Chelsea is at least trying to like long term win the league. I don't feel like I don't feel like their goals are as high. Like we were talking earlier about like that's not your goal if your goal is being okay. I just think that like their thing right now is like if we can get in top four and like we're just trying to pay out the stadium. We're just trying to pay out the stadium. We just need Champions League money. We just need Champions League money. We're just trying to pay out the stadium. And then like winning the league isn't actually a priority. I think like no, I don't think anybody cares that they're in third. As long as if they make third, I don't think anybody cares.
That is why I'm excited for Lucho though. Like I feel like I don't think it's just him. Like I like the Paratici guy, like as the director. I think he knows what he's doing. Like I'm not upset at the amount of money ownership spent, but expectations have to rise, right? I do think they're gonna sell the team. Like I think that's sneaky apparent. Obviously, it's not something like they've come out and said, but like that bid from I don't know the guy's name, but that bid from that guy is way too high for there not to be some underlying like people know they can get Tottenham if they give the right number type of thing. So I do think they sell the team, and when they sell the team, like the stadium will be paid off through that, right? So I think you're gonna see things change, and ultimately, like everything you said is correct. Like it's not Conte's fault that they lapsed in a 3-1 lead, but the one thing I'll say about Jose and Conte that I think is an issue is I never once thought either manager would be there long term. And that's not to say like I feel like Lucho will be there, but I don't think he's going to be as outspoken constantly. Like,
but is that a reflection of like because you didn't think because you knew they weren't going to give him what he needed?
it's both. I mean, like when they spoke, like if every time Tottenham lost, Conte like dangled the Juventus thing. you know what I mean? Like like Jose maybe not as much, but like anytime Tottenham lost, I'm like Conte might not be in the building tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I will give like that I think Lucho would help them is the overall team spirit. Like the fact that like Jose's kind of negative, even though I think Jose's like at his heart a good dude. And like Conte is a fairly negative dude because I mean he's Italian. And that's just their Discord, the way they communicate. But I do think that like the general team spirit, I think like I think anybody like I would love to play for Lucho. I would love to play for Lucho just because I think he's a player's manager. I think he would like of all the people that I think he would get the best out of Son. Like I'm super excited to see what Sonny could be under Lucho. But if they're not going to like, I just don't feel like you can see through the managers that there's not like institutional support in the way that there should be.
I agree. But I think so. Yeah, yes. But I do think there's been more institutional support than like these managers give the team credit for. They've spent $400 million across the last.
Oh no, I think Conte's got more than I thought. Jose was the one who didn't get the help he needed.
Jose, I saw a stat like Jose. They spent 140 M's on 10 players under Jose in 3 transfer windows. They spent 190.
That's a João Felix.
It's fair. Listen, but for Tottenham, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like you can't expect Tottenham to.
But that's my thing, though. Even though you're saying it's for Tottenham, that's a lot, dude. If you're a Big Six club, you're a Big Six club. It can't be for Tottenham. That's a lot. Like no, we're fucking. We're in a fight. We're in a fight, dude.
But they've spent since Jose, Nuno, and Conte, they spent 358 million, and that's about a 3 to 4 year span. decent little money. Like I understand Chelsea spent that, in January.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good amount of money. And what I think the issue is, in another reason I'm excited for Lucho is like when you watch the Spanish national team under him, he knows his identity. And the players that are out there, for better or worse, are going to play his style of football. And there's not going to be any confusion on that. There's not going to be any changing on that. I look at who Tottenham's purchased, and I'm like, these dudes probably would play better under Lucho than they would Conte. So of course it didn't fucking work.